Hello, Jordan Gilliam here, doing another video. Hopefully you had time to watch the first video I did talking about guitars. I know Jay, my partner in this whole Fracture project, has talked about his guitars and some pedals, and we're just super happy to keep bringing more content about how this whole project started, how it sounds, and how we use the gear that we have. In this video, guitar pedals. Let's just get into it. If you're a guitar player, what's not to like? Guitar pedals. I mean, really. And so, real quick, I have a lot to go over, and I'm going to try and do it quickly. My plan is to do a second video talking about the blooper, the mood, and the infinite jets. They deserve their own videos, and I think I'd like to demonstrate how I use those pedals, especially with the Fracture project, but just in general in a separate video. As for now, I'd like to show you the board. Let's get to it. So here's the board, top-down view, and I'd like to quickly just point out the blooper and the infinite jets, hologram infinite jets, and the mood by Chase Bliss Audio. I'm going to go over in a little more detail in a separate video. I'd like to give those some more time and do some sound samples of how I use them. They are on the record, and that they require just a separate video. There's so much to unpack there. However, the rest of the board is an easy discussion to have. It starts with my volume pedal. I mean, you gotta have a volume pedal. I mean, at least something to control the volume. And then it goes from that to my Walrus Audio, my Deep 6. They make a great compression. It's pretty much always on. I enjoy it mostly with my clean tone delays, and the reverbs just sound better with compression. I would say check that out. It goes from that to my tuner to the overdrives. The Friedman is just a great overdrive pedal, responsive, but there's a clarity there. And the Burnley is actually by Bogner. It's an over pedal, and this is actually set to a very low gain, just a little breakup, and I've always loved that pedal. It goes from that to my Morgan Fuzz. Fuzz pedals are interesting. I feel like you gotta find the right one that works for you. There's so many out there, and it's best to find what works best with your guitar, your amp, and really just your overall preference. I love this company. They make great amps, they make great pedals, it's handmade. Check them out. It's a great fuzz pedal. It goes from that to my line selector. The line selector is essentially an effects loop, and it allows me to kind of run the rest of the board in an easier fashion, having the effects loop with volume control, being able to select which loop I have it going through was really easy to use on the fly. Goes from the effects loop, the first pedal in the loop would actually be the Pog 2. These are great. I love, if you like synth, being able to create kind of that octave, synthy, whatever the cool word is for it, it would be this pedal. Check them out. It's built like a tank. I've had this pedal for I think 6 years now. I use it all the time. I love the Pog 2. It goes from that to your classic whammy. The whammies are cool. This is the one pedal I probably didn't use on the record, but I do use it quite often. It's a whammy. What can I say? These I've used for the last 8 or 9 years, and I just can't get away from it, so check them out. From the whammy, it goes to the hologram infinite jets. This thing, like I said, it's a beast. It's got a lot going on with it, and I will go over this in more detail later, but I'll say this is the one pedal I will never sell. If you can check out the video from this company, it just shows you so much. It can do so much. It's its own beast. It's essentially a synth, I'll say that. But yeah, I can't wait to talk more about that. Goes from that to my Dark Star pad reverb. This is one of my most used reverb pedals because it's easy to use and it just sounds so good, and it creates just a pad of just lushfulness. These are very cool. It goes from that to my Timeline. I think Strymon makes great gear. This pedal, in my mind, is one of the best delays in the market. I'm guessing you've seen it already, but I'll say that I use it a lot. It's on the record. It's a Timeline. I won't ever sell it. It will go from that to my Strymon El Capistan, which again, tape delay. This pedal's cool too. It may even be one of my favorite delays, even more than the Timeline, because it just sounds so good. And it's nice to have too on the board. I love using it. It's on all the time. And I hope that you check that pedal out because, again, great company, great pedal, great tone. Goes from that to my Mood. The Mood is essentially a mini looper, a reverb, a delay, and a little bit of something else in the blender. And it's really cool. I use it a lot in conjunction with the blooper. But this pedal, man, again, separate video, but I love it. And I will probably have it on the board until I can't play guitar anymore. It's that cool. I also should mention it goes from here to the Big Sky, but I have two reverbs on the board. The Dark Star is my pre-reverb to all the delays here and here. The Big Sky, which is also reverb, is my end reverb for the delays. And I use them differently, but if I want a washed out sound, it's usually going to come from the Dark Star pre-delay. If I want to have a sound that's just reverb, that tends to, I don't know, widen my tone, it's going to come from the Big Sky after the delays. So yeah, it's not as complicated as it sounds, but it's just kind of how I've used those two on the board. Goes from that to the Gravitas, which is a tremolo pedal by Chase Bliss Audio. Again, this company is so cool. And this pedal is an analog tremolo pedal. It's the best tremolo I've ever owned, and it's got a great tone. It's essentially digital, but it has an analog brain is what the manual says. I use it quite a bit. Tremolos are just one of those effects that you gotta have at least something on the board, right? And it goes from that to the blooper. The blooper is essentially a looper, but it does so much more. Like this company, Chase Bliss Audio, deserves just so much recognition. They are changing the game of guitar pedals and gear. I can't wait to see what else they do. The blooper is on the record. I use it a lot, and it's a looper, but you can modulate the loop after you've created it and some. And so like I mentioned before, I will do a separate video on the blooper and the Infinite Jets and the Mood. In fact, I use these two a lot together, and I can't wait to show you how I do that. Hey you guys, thank you so much for checking out our videos, tuning in, making time out of your day to just see what we're about. Planning to do some more, looking forward to sharing more. I should mention part of the evolution of this whole thing is my pedal board is forever changing, and I just got the Helix Stomp, and I can't wait to dive into that. If you are a guitar player, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, you guys. Have a good night.